solihullradio.com.
That's right, and of course it would be remiss of me not to introduce to you this evening's guest on the Friday show with me. And Alex, would you like to say a big hello? Ladies and gentlemen, joining me today is a fantastic young man from the local area, Solihull guy, and his name is Alex. Alex, how are you?
Yes, hello, I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent stuff. Now, for people that haven't been to the alexmanners.com, you will not quite know yet that Alex is a fantastic young man. He's come in today to speak to us and answer questions on living with Asperger's syndrome. Or we just call it Asperger's now, don't we?
Just Asperger's.
Yeah, that's right. So living with Asperger's, and you've been diagnosed?
Yes, I'm 21 now, and
Okay.
I was diagnosed when I was 10.
Right.
So back when I was in primary school.
Okay. So and Alex is going to be with us for the rest of the show this evening, up until like 8 o'clock or so. So if you have any questions that you would like me to ask Alex, I've got lots of questions, but if you've got any specific questions, because Alex is absolutely happy to answer any questions that come into the studio on Asperger's and related. Related issues and things like that, but we can have a bit of a longer chat later, Alex. Is that all right?
Yes, that's great.
Brilliant stuff. We've had some questions in. Alex, before we go to the questions, could you just give us a brief or an overview, as it were, of what Asperger's is?
Well, Asperger's is a form of autism on what's called the autism spectrum, and most people with Asperger's are either average or above average intelligence, and some of the traits of Asperger's are that we operate at a high level of stress. Often we have a subject that we're absolutely mad on, so for me it's football.
Mm-hmm.
We are very sensitive to sounds, sights, smells, and we like to have a set routine, just to name some of the traits.
Okay, can I delve a little bit deeper into some of those?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say we're in a restaurant.
Okay.
What are you listening to?
For me, I tend to hear kind of every noise. I can see everything, and I notice things that other people don't notice. So I might be somewhere, and for instance, my obsession is football. So I'm aware of everything in my surroundings. So if someone comes in with the tiniest football, say, badge on their bag, or I will notice it, even if it's like a reference to football, like a name that's linked to a football player. I will notice it. So, from that perspective, I'm sort of aware of a lot more than what my parents would be.
Hyper aware.
Yes.
Hyper aware of the small detail.
Yes.
Okay. So, can you tune any of the day-to-day things that we take for granted out, or are you at 100 miles an hour all the time?
Well, sometimes, like for instance, when I'm at a football match,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so focused on the match. Because that's my absolute passion, that all the noises and sights around me, I'm basically just focused on the match. So sometimes I'll be at a match and there's people I don't know
Mm-hmm.
shouting or screaming behind me, and my uncle sometimes says to me, "Oh, shall we just move along a bit if there's a few empty seats?"
But you haven't noticed
And I
that?
haven't even noticed that
Okay.
there's anything going on.
Okay. So you're able to tune everything out. You're looking at the football, watching the football, and you're there, and then suddenly the football finishes, and then what happens then?
Usually I just so excited to be in the ground that
Sure.
just the whole atmosphere of being in a ground, I can kind of tune out what I want.
Okay.
But in terms of sounds, it's usually small repetitive sounds
Mm-hmm.
that usually affect me. For instance, when I'm at home, it's the ticking of a radiator or the ticking of a clock.
Oh yeah, the water ticking
water,
and
yes.
the heating up and cooling down the radiators
Yes,
makes that
that's
tick
one
noise,
of the
doesn't it? Yeah, I can
worst
imagine.
noises, because it just seems never ending, and especially if I'm trying to go to sleep or I'm trying to do something, and that's the only noise I can hear.
And of course, people not with a diagnosis of Asperger's or being on the ASD in somewhere, the autistic spectrum somewhere, we wouldn't necessarily focus on the ticking of a radiator, would we? But for you, that's a loud bell chiming in your ear.
It's as if someone's got a drum and is constantly
Right.
banging it
Okay.
next to me.
Okay, and I hope you don't mind me asking this. So, and you can tell me no and things like that. But what happens when it gets too much?
Well, for me, I can often have meltdowns,
Right.
and the one thing that usually causes most of my meltdowns are if I'm in a messy environment. So sometimes when I'm at home,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm, say, in my kitchen or something and it's messy,
Right.
then I just can't seem to cope in that environment, and I often have a meltdown. And for me, a meltdown usually results where I go to a quiet place
Mm-hmm.
and just start crying. And for me, the one thing that's always helped me to calm down from a meltdown is putting on a children's television show.
Okay.
And as soon as the children's television show comes on the television, it's like I'm instantly relaxed.
Okay.
And it's like instantly all the stresses and struggles have gone out of my body.
Okay, so you use visual stimulus, so you use the television,
Yes.
and having that vision straight into your brain takes away some of the anxieties and stresses of how you're feeling and what's happening in that particular situation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I understand. Listen, I'm not trying to... and how... Are these a normal occurrence, or can you see them coming and get yourself into a different environment before it happens, or is it like quite explosive and just happens?
I think now a lot more than when I was younger. I can usually tell when they're coming. So when I'm sort of out in public, if I can feel one coming,
Mm-hmm.
then one of the things I always do is carry a football program with me.
Okay.
And
Distraction.
I'll know if I'm feeling like I could be having a meltdown. I'll get a football program out and start reading it for 5 minutes.
Let's go to our first question. Our first questions come from Chris. Thank you very much for texting. If you want to get a question, by the way, it's 075 64 30 30 64. Right, here's the first question, Alex. What additional facilities would you like included in our local area in Solihull that may help other other people that have a diagnosis of autism or Asperger's?
I think generally more people within, I don't know, shops, restaurants, cafes,
Mhm.
businesses should have more awareness for what autism is, because a lot of people they sort of have a preconceived idea of what Asperger's actually is, and a lot of the time they can be Asperger's is different for every single person.
Agreed. Yeah.
So there's a saying that once you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So no one's the same. So one thing that might work for me might not work for someone else. But another thing that could really help is certainly in larger places, like for instance maybe in Touchwood, having an area or a space where we can actually go to,
Mm-hmm.
like a quiet room or a sensory room. If we're feeling stressed, or there might be someone on hand that we can go to, if we need just 5 minutes just to try and calm down.
Okay. Well, that's something that I'm not suggesting that I've got all the answers, but I know that we can put the word out there and sort of spread that message. Do you have any particular meeting groups? So you meet up with other people?
Yes. In Shirley, at a place called the Bridge, I go to a youth club called Family Equip,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been going there for I'm 21 now, so I've been going there for about 9 or 10 years.
Okay.
And it's a group for people with Asperger's,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been going there, for about 9 or 10 years. And I used to be a member there, but now I help at the youth clubs as I got older.
That's good. Have you seen a difference in the young people coming through those sort of youth clubs on the way Asperger's and the ASD is manifesting itself? Are you seeing more and more sort of explosive outbursts, or is it calming down? Or now that people are a little bit more aware, is it calming down in those environments, or are you seeing a difference in behaviours?
I don't think I'm seeing too much difference. I think generally the people that are coming through tend to have the same sort of problems and stresses that a lot of the people that I was in the clubs with when I was younger were having.
Okay.
But it's absolutely fantastic for me. Not just I'm giving them back tips of what I've learned when I was at the clubs, but also I'm learning new things from them every time I go there.
You've come in this evening into the studio. I can see you love your colour. You're wearing incredibly colourful clothes this evening. Why are you wearing so colourful clothes?
For me, I've always loved colourful clothes, and if I'm wearing colourful clothes, I feel like I can express my personality, and I feel like I can conquer anything.
Which is absolutely fantastic. That is the sort of point of view and life message that needs to be out there. So some people say it's an issue, but I think Alex has come in here amazingly positive, and he is just absolutely fantastic guy, and he's going to help me sort out some wiring here, and he's just got skills that are amazing. I can't say it enough. Listen, Alex, tell us a little bit about some of the other projects that you've got happening for you now. What do you do day to day?
So, my ambition is to become a TV presenter, and I'm never going to give up in trying to pursue that career. But I also have my own video production company. So I film promotional videos for a number of local businesses and sports clubs. So that whether that be cricket, football, golf, squash, tennis, you name it, I film a lot.
All right. Locally or out or everywhere?
Mostly in the West Midlands, so mostly in Birmingham or Solihull. And another thing I do is I film all the Solihull Moors home games.
All right.
For BT Sport, which is absolutely fantastic. And my footage of the matches, and also when I interview the managers, goes on a program called the Vanarama National League Highlight Show.
Right.
Which is a bit like Match of the Day, but for the league that Solihull Moors are in.
Oh.
Yeah, so I also write, because I've got Asperger's, I write a number of articles on Asperger's for different magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a number of interviews sort of on radio, and a number of talks to different groups.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got one at the University of Warwick next month. I'm doing a talk on my Asperger's.
Wow.
And I've got my own YouTube channel as well.
Right.
Where I film loads of different videos. So all my radio and TV interviews go on there. And also I do a number of football videos, so
Yep.
around the grounds when I'm at different football matches.
Fantastic.
And football shirt stories, because I collect football shirts.
Excellent stuff. Now, tell us, where would you see yourself in 5 years in terms of television presenting? What sort of shows would you like to be involved with?
Well, two of my main passions in terms of television are sport and children's television.
Okay, yep.
So I'd absolutely love to be presenting on a show such as CBeebies.
Mm-hmm.
I've even started to create my own, I created my own children's show and sent it to CBeebies. Unfortunately, it was, they didn't want to use it as a show, but they really liked my idea. So I'm always working on new ideas. But I'd absolutely love to be a sports reporter on one of the, Match of the Day. I'd absolutely love to be on CBeebies. That would be like my dream job.
Okay.
Or even like doing my own documentaries, because at the moment I'm looking at doing, setting up an idea for a documentary on football and autism.
Oh, brilliant. Well,
So
there's two subjects that you know a great deal about.
yes, and that's what I try to do. I try to link the subjects that I'm familiar with into ideas for television or radio or shows. And I'm so determined to get to where I want to do that. Every day I'm working towards becoming a TV presenter, really.
That's and what a fantastic ambition to have, and I wish you and the rest of the team here at Solihull Radio wish you the most success you can possibly get.
We have a question here from John. John, thank you for your question. John has texted in with a question for our guest Alex, who is in the studio. Alex, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Brilliant. So, Alex, John is asking, how did you get on at school?
At school?
Hmm.
Well, at my primary school,
Yes, that's right, yes.
my teachers didn't understand what autism was. And when I was diagnosed, back when I was 10 in primary school, it took them quite a while to actually, take any notice and actually put in place things that actually helped me.
Mhm.
And then when I went to secondary school, I went to a secondary school in Birmingham, about 40% of the pupils there had Asperger's or autism, and there were a lot of more things put in place for us. So we had smaller groups. I think I was in a class of about 8, and I was in what was known as a small group where all eight of us had autism, and the teachers really understood much more than the teachers at my primary school how to help people with Asperger's, and they understood it more. And there was a lady there who was the school Senko, and she was absolutely fantastic. She helped me a great deal.
And sorry, Senko, what does that stand for, Alex, please?
So a Senko is a special educational needs coordinator.
Thank you.
And a lot of them, there's a lot of schools have them, I think, and they to me, they were absolutely, the lady in my school was absolutely beneficial to me, really getting from my first 2 or 3 years there. She was absolutely fantastic. But school was a real struggle for me in terms of wearing the uniform, homework, the changes. I mean, every school year, the timetable seemed to change, and it seemed like I was starting a whole new school again every school year.
And did it take a while to get used to that change?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I'm not the best with changes anyway, so with all the changes that were happening at school, even one change is bad enough for me, but with all the timetable changes and classroom changes and all the new people coming in to the school, it was a real struggle. But then towards my last few years at the school, we had a head teacher that didn't really understand autism, and everything that was sort of put in place for the 40% of us that had autism was kind of sort of taken away, and it was lucky that I was sort of coming towards the end of my time there, and that I was able to be at the school when all the things for us were put in place, like the small classes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful that I was there at that time, but when I stayed on for the sixth form, and some of the things that my parents had been saying that I really needed, like more time, more free lessons, being able to wear my own clothes, which was a massive problem, not having homework. When they all came to the fore, and in sixth form when I had more free time, could wear my own clothes and didn't have any homework, my life just changed completely, and I went from absolutely hating school to actually really enjoying going into sixth form.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad that worked out. Thank you so much, Alex, for coming in and sharing your experiences with us. It's been so informative. That's absolutely wonderful. Have you enjoyed your time here?
I've absolutely enjoyed it, and to be able to come along and give people more of an insight into what Asperger's is and how I view it and look upon it in my life is fantastic. So thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you.
And I need to say a very big thank you and a goodbye to our guest this evening. Alex, have you enjoyed yourself?
Absolutely loved it. To be able to share my experiences and what I've done is absolutely fantastic.
Fantastic. So. Listen, on behalf of all here at Solihull Radio, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest, informative, funny. When the music's been playing, listener, we've been having a real laugh here in the studio here with Alex. So it's a real pleasure for us to have you in the studio. Thank you very much for coming today.